Celeb 20 news updates.
Celeb 20.
Ahead of the buzz.
All things celebrity.
So let's continue this story.
All right, imagine waking up, grabbing your phone, and boom, social media is totally blowing up.
Oh, yeah.
But it's not just some random internet drama. This is about Ye.
Yeah.
Formerly Kanye West, of course.
Of course.
And this explosive, just ranting spree he went on X early on February 7th, 2025.
That's why it's like waking up to, a sonic boom online. It's crazy how this goes way beyond just typical celebrity drama, This rant really brings up some really already hot button issues about free speech and, what comes with having this massive online platform and the fact that hate speech has real world consequences.
Yeah, for sure. And we are diving deep into all the fallout today. And thankfully, we have this article as a guide.
Yeah.
It's Shocking X Rant. I love Hitler and Dominion over my wife. What's really going on? And it kind of breaks down what was said and then tries to figure out the why behind it all.
And that's really the key here because, trying to figure out the motivations behind these extreme statements can help us grapple with these big questions.
Exactly. So let's rewind back to 4 a.m. February 7th.
Okay.
What exactly did you say in these posts to cause such an uproar?
Well, around 4 a.m. Pacific time, Ye just kind of unleashes all these messages. And a lot of them were very clearly targeted at the Jewish community. We're talking really shocking, I love Hitler.
Wow.
I'm a Nazi. These aren't just controversial opinions. These are statements meant to offend.
Right. It's just wild to me that someone with his platform would just throw these words out there, It makes you wonder if having this massive online following makes people think they're invincible, that the rules don't apply.
That's a great point. And there's definitely a conversation we need to have about whether platforms like X kind of inadvertently create a system where extreme speech is rewarded or incentivized just by giving people with huge followings essentially a megaphone.
Yeah.
And that's unchecked.
Yeah.
But even beyond that, he didn't stop there.
Right.
He doubled down. He said he wasn't going to apologize for his past anti-Semitic comments and was basically saying he could say whatever he wants.
Wow. He was daring the platform to do something. But this isn't his first time being in trouble for this type of behavior, right?
Not at all. This is a pattern, we've seen it before.
Yeah.
Back in December of 2022, his X account was suspended for anti-Semitic comments and posting a swastika symbol.
Oh, wow.
Elon Musk, who owns X, basically said it was inciting violence.
Okay, so he's been walking on thin ice for a while now, and it sounds like there were already restrictions on his account back in October 2022 for similar stuff.
Exactly. It just makes you wonder, what are platforms like X doing to prevent the spread of hate speech, especially from people who do it repeatedly and who have such a huge reach?
Right.
Is just temporarily suspending them enough makes you really think about the effectiveness of their content moderation.
For sure. But let's get back to this specific rant. What else, besides explicitly hateful things, what else stood out to you? Well,
there were also these really disturbing claims about his personal life, especially with his wife, Bianca Censori.
Right.
He talked about having dominion over her and criticized anyone questioning her choices, especially what she wore to the Grammys. This wasn't just about free speech anymore. This had an element of, control and potentially even crossing the line between personal expression and abusive behavior.
It's interesting that you bring up that power dynamic because then you add in, these weird boasts about how much money he has and derogatory statements about Jewish people, which played into really bad stereotypes.
Right.
It's almost like he was trying to exert his dominance in multiple ways, personally and in society.
Yeah. And that's the really dangerous thing.
Yeah.
His fans, especially younger ones, might start thinking that being wealthy and having status gives you the right to put down others. It's not a good message, especially right now.
And then, on top of all that, he's disrespecting the then Vice President Kamala Harris and the way he talked about supporting Sean Diddy Combs.
Oh, yeah.
It was all about him looking better. It's like he was trying to pick fights with as many people as possible.
Yeah, and it's really hard to figure out his motivation. Is this all calculated to just get attention? Or are these his actual beliefs? And, a question that comes up a lot with Ye, are we watching a mental health crisis happening in public?
That's really hard to say. And, it feels wrong to speculate about his mental health, but I think it's fair to say this wasn't just expressing an opinion. It was using this platform as a weapon to hurt people. And it really brings up the ethical questions about the responsibility that comes with having such a huge online following.
For sure, because no matter what the intention was, the impact is real.
Yeah.
These words have consequences.
They do. So let's talk about those. How did people, Ye's fans, and organizations like the Anti-Defamation League react to all this?
Well, it was as divided as you expect. There was condemnation, outrage, but then also, sadly, some support and even praise for him being bold. I think it's important to pay attention to this response from groups like the ADL. They've been fighting anti-Semitism for a long time.
Yeah, their perspective is vital.
Right. They issued a statement that didn't just call out what Yi said, but also pointed out the connection between this kind of talk and the increase in anti-Semitism in the real world.
Right.
This isn't just about offensive words online. It's about a climate where hate can grow and turn into violence.
That's a scary thought. It's like these hateful words are seeds for something much worse.
Exactly. And it's a reminder that free speech doesn't mean you can say anything. There's a line, and Yi crossed it many times.
Yeah.
And the ADL and many others are calling for stronger rules on social media and for these platforms to take a more active role in stopping the spread of hate speech.
But how do you regulate online spaces and not shut down legitimate conversations? Where's the line?
You've hit on a key problem of our time. We have this right to say what we want, but we also have to admit that words are powerful and can be used to spread hate and incite violence.
Yeah.
Platforms like X are having a hard time finding that balance.
So this whole thing with Yi, it's not just a celebrity scandal. It's making us really think about how we deal with free speech in the world of social media.
Absolutely. And it's a conversation we need to have, because if we don't figure it out, we're going to end up in a world where hate speech is so normal that it doesn't even shock us anymore.
Yeah.
And that's a terrifying thought.
The article mentions some fans are actually defending Yi, saying he's just being authentic or speaking his truth. But when does that cross the line into being hateful?
It's tough. He's always made outrageous statements. Even before this whole X mess,
Right.
He's kind of built his career on pushing buttons and going against the norm.
Right, like that time he interrupted Taylor Swift's acceptance speech, or when he said he was a god at a concert. He seems to love the attention, good or bad.
Yeah, and some people are saying this rant is just another stunt to get attention. But I think it's dangerous to just dismiss it as that, because even if it's just for attention, it doesn't erase the harm it causes.
That's so true. You can't just say, oh, he's just doing it for clicks and ignore the damage, because those clicks are real people and those words can really hurt.
Absolutely. And we need to look at the bigger picture here.
Yeah.
We're living in a time where people are so divided, and social media kind of pushes you towards extreme views and angry rhetoric. So even if he just wants a reaction, he's still making this toxic online world worse.
Right, and that can have consequences offline.
Exactly.
It makes me think of that term stochastic terrorism.
Oh, yeah.
Where all this hate speech, even if it doesn't directly tell people to be violent, it can still make some individuals do violent things.
It's scary, but it's something to think about, because you might not be telling his fans to go hurt Jewish people, but his words create this environment of fear and intolerance.
Yeah.
And that can push people with existing prejudices to act on them.
And it's not just physical violence either. It's the emotional toll this kind of talk takes on people and communities.
Right.
And it makes people feel unsafe, unwelcome, like they don't belong.
Exactly. And it can make it seem like hate speech is okay, like it's just part of normal conversation. It's like a poison that slowly breaks down society.
So what can we do? The article mentioned the ADL is pushing for stronger social media rules, but is that enough?
It's a start, but it's a complicated problem.
Right.
Some people say platforms like X should be held legally responsible for what people post on them, like newspapers or magazines are. Others think we need better content moderation policies, using AI and stuff to flag hate speech.
But then you run into the problem of censorship. Like, are we silencing people who disagree?
It's a balancing act for sure. We need to protect free speech, but also make sure the internet isn't being used to spread hate and violence.
Absolutely. The article also talks about how this is affecting Yi's career. Companies like Adidas already cut ties with him in 2022. And this new rant could lead to even more partnerships ending.
It shows that actions have consequences. Even for someone as famous as Ye, His brand is all about who he is, and now he's becoming known for hate and controversy. It'll be interesting to see what happens.
Do you think this will be a wake-up call for him? Or will he just get more extreme?
Hard to say. He's always been unpredictable and defiant.
Yeah.
But there's always hope. We've seen other celebrities make similar mistakes and then learn from them and start advocating for tolerance and understanding.
That's true. People can change.
Yeah.
We need to hold him accountable, but we should also be open to the possibility of him changing for the better.
Absolutely. But at the end of the day, it's up to him. He needs to choose a different path, one that doesn't involve using his platform to spread hate.
So what about us? What can we do as individuals? It's easy to feel powerless when you see all this online toxicity.
We can't change the entire internet on our own, but we can control our own little corners of it. We can choose to talk to each other with respect. We can challenge hate speech when we see it. And we can support organizations like the ADL who are working to fight online hate.
Right.
We can make our voices heard and create online communities that are welcoming and inclusive.
It's all about being mindful of the impact of our words and actions.
Exactly. It's about realizing that we're all connected and our choices matter. And it's about choosing hope over hate, even when it's hard.
I love that. Choosing hope over hate, it reminds us that we have the power to shape the world we want to live in. But this whole situation, it makes you wonder how much damage has already been done. The article goes into how Ye's words are having a lasting impact on his fans and the public.
Yeah, it's like throwing a rock in a pond. Those ripples just keep spreading.
Oh, yeah.
And you don't know how far they'll go or what they'll hit.
That's a really good way to put it, because even if you took it all back tomorrow, said he was wrong and wants to change, those words are still out there.
Yeah. They've been shared and retweeted, seen by so many people.
Right.
And some of them might be really vulnerable to that kind of hateful message.
And that's what makes this whole thing so unsettling. It's not just about one person being held accountable. It's that hate speech can become this thing on its own. It's like a virus infecting the whole internet.
It really is. Like we're trying to catch up, trying to figure out how to fight this virus of hate speech.
Yeah.
But it's changing all the time, finding new ways to spread and get around whatever we try to do.
It's like a constant battle, and the article mentions some real-world consequences of Ye's actions.
Right.
The ADL reported a spike in anti-Semitic incidents since his rant, like online harassment, even vandalism of synagogues.
That's what we can't forget. This isn't just some debate about free speech happening online. This is about real people being hurt because of what Ye said.
And it makes you wonder, how many people who weren't sure about these things are now being influenced by his words? How many are now more likely to act on their prejudices?
It's impossible to know for sure, but it's definitely significant.
Yeah.
And it's not just individual acts of hate. It's about creating a climate of intolerance that can have big consequences for everyone.
Absolutely. This whole situation also shows how important groups like the ADL are. They're the ones dealing with this directly.
Yeah.
They're supporting victims, tracking these incidents, and pushing for change.
They're doing amazing work. They're not just calling out hate speech. They're teaching people about the dangers of prejudice.
Right.
They're trying to change laws to fight hate crimes, and they're helping communities heal.
It's really inspiring to see them being so proactive, not just reacting, but trying to stop these things from happening in the first place. But what about us, regular people? What can we do to fight back against this hate speech?
It can feel overwhelming, especially going up against someone with a huge platform like Ye.
Right.
But even small things can make a difference. It starts with thinking about how we talk and act online. Are we being respectful?
Yeah.
Are we contributing to the problem?
Like that saying, be the change you want to see.
Exactly.
We can start by just being more aware of how we interact online.
Yeah, and we can also call out hate speech when we see it. Even if it's uncomfortable, we can report it to the platforms. We can support groups like the ADL, and we can use our own platforms, even if they're small, to share messages of tolerance and understanding.
It's about taking a stand, saying, this isn't okay.
Right.
And even if it seems small, all those little actions can add up to real change.
Absolutely. And I think it's important to remember this isn't about silencing people who disagree. It's about creating a space online where everyone feels safe.
Yeah.
Where everyone feels respected, where different opinions are valued, and where hate speech is not allowed.
It's about understanding that words are powerful and they can be used for good or bad.
That's a great way to put it. So as we finish up this deep dive into Ye's X rant, I hope our listeners are thinking about how urgent and complex this issue is.
Yeah.
It's not going to be easy, but we can create a better world together, online and offline.
That's a great takeaway. It's been a really interesting and honestly a bit disturbing look into this whole thing.
Yeah,
But I think we learned a lot. Thanks to you for helping us understand it all.
my pleasure.
And to everyone listening, thanks for joining us on this deep dive. Remember, your voice matters, what you do matters, and together we can make a difference. Let's choose hope over hate and work towards a future where everyone feels safe, respected, and valued.